You guys know I love being brutally honest, so let's be brutally honest. Grief sucks. It totally changes you. We know that. You are never the same person after a huge, profound loss. But, and this is a big but, constantly wallowing in misery isn't a way to live the rest of our lives either. I feel like we owe it to ourselves and to the people that we lost to try to find some semblance of joy in what is left of our lives. For me, every day is a choice. I wake up and I decide, am I gonna have an okay day today, or am I going to let the grief consume me? It's never about forgetting or moving on. It is simply about finding a way to continue moving forward in my life without letting that grief destroy me. So today, what I want to talk about is, how do we make those choices? How do we, on a daily basis, find ways to make a choice to improve our lives rather than letting our overwhelming grief take us down? So that's what we're going to talk about today. Stay tuned. Okay, first I have to apologize because this is not my normal setup. I actually have a freaking kidney stone right now and was at urgent care. They gave me a shot in my hip butt area to try to take away some of the pain and basically said, good luck and go to the hospital if you feel like you can't take it anymore. So it's awesome for me. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. And I wanted to get a video out because I didn't get one out last week and I felt really bad about that. And so here I am. The shot's doing pretty well, so I'm not in quite as much pain as I was.
Smiling through the pain.
So let's talk about making these choices when it comes to grief and how we're going to react to things. It tends to be a daily decision, or honestly, even a moment-to-moment decision. So I want to offer you some ways that I can kind of help you make that choice. And there are things that worked for me in the past. So I just figured I would share them with you. The first one is acknowledging your pain. I always tell you whatever you are feeling is valid. So those painful feelings, those sad feelings that you are having, totally valid. It is okay to be devastated. But it's also important to acknowledge that living in that pain forever and having that mindset that you are going to be in awful agony forever is a choice. You can feel pain and know that there are going to be times, probably lots of times, where you are going to feel pain for the rest of your life because you loved the person that you lost. I'm never going to not feel pain when I think about the fact that I no longer have my daughter. I'm not going to never feel pain because I have no parents anymore. Obviously, I am in pain and I am going to feel those losses forever. But do I look at my future and say to myself, I'm never, ever going to be happy again? This pain is going to control my life for the rest of my life? No. And that is a choice. It's a way that you talk to yourself. So I choose to tell myself that I am not going to let that pain destroy my entire life. I'm going to feel it when I feel it. And then I am going to intentionally understand that it's not going to be a forever constant feeling. The next thing I do, and I talk about this a lot, is taking small steps. Start small. You are not going to wake up one day feeling completely okay, right? That's not going to happen. So set small, manageable goals. Set a goal for your day. Set a goal for moment to moment to try to enjoy the things that you can when they are happening to you at that moment. Like setting a goal to walk with a friend on a weekly basis, or trying a new hobby, or doing some sort of self-care. Like for me, it would be laying on my sofa and reading a book with a great cup of coffee. Small steps in grief can lead to big changes over time. Okay, the next one I want you to try is focusing on the things that you can control. Grief makes us feel completely out of control, right? But there are things in our grief that we can choose to control. So for example, you can control how you respond to a particular feeling that you're having. You can control what you do each day and whether or not those things are going to be helping your grief journey or hurting it. If you start to focus on those things that you can control and making controlled choices that will support your healing, then that can be very powerful. The next one is a total buzzword in the mental health and grief industry, but that is practicing gratitude. And I don't mean it in a like, you have to buy a gratitude journal and jot things down every day. I'm not poo-pooing that, because when I was in my deepest depths of grief, I did a gratitude journal and it actually was very helpful for me. So I am not, a lot of people just get turned off by like, oh, I'm just supposed to feel grateful for everything. It's a lot harder than it sounds, and you know that if you're in deep grief. So I acknowledge that practicing gratitude can be very tough, but it can also be very powerful. What I do now is super simple. Each day, I just try to find very small things that I am grateful for. Something as simple as, now that I'm back to school, my drive to school is beautiful. I go through beautiful farmland, and it's usually before the sun is rising and right as the sun starts to rise. And a lot of times there's a mist out on the farmland, and I take the moment to look out at my surroundings and just think like, my gosh, aren't I lucky that I get to see this beautiful, beautiful sight every morning when I am on the way to my job. It just is one of those things that kind of fills me with wonder every morning. And then I feel better in my morning, even though I'm going to work and my day will probably be exhausting. It's just something that I enjoy and I appreciate. I appreciate that drive and that view. Again, the goal with gratitude is never to forget your losses, but to appreciate what you still have rather than entirely focusing on what you've lost. All right, the next idea is celebrating small wins. And this kind of goes along with the goals. I, again, talk about this all the time, but little things can be big wins when you're grieving. So if you get out of bed in the morning, if you make your bed, bonus points. If you take a shower, if you get any sort of movement or exercise in your day, those are small wins, but when you're grieving, they are big wins. So find things to celebrate throughout your day as you are grieving. Recognizing small achievements, no matter how small you think they can build momentum and positivity for your day. And the last one is give yourself permission to keep living. This is probably the hardest, but the most crucial step. And I am not going to lie, it can take a long time to get there. But I am going to say it again because it's so important. You need to give yourself permission to continue living your life. Your life didn't stop because you lost your loved one. Your life, whether you like it or not, is going to go on. And if you really think about it, I don't think your loved one would want you to spend the rest of your life in misery. Everyone around us, including the people that we've lost, our friends, our family, people who care about us, and most importantly, for yourself, for ourselves, we should want to continue our life with joy and happiness and to be able to find those moments of pleasure again. And sometimes this is the hardest thing to do when we're grieving, is to just give ourselves permission to try to keep moving forward, because we feel like our world should end and we feel guilty that we want to continue with our lives and that we don't want to be miserable forever. Does anyone really want to be miserable? But yet there are so many of us out there that constantly say to ourselves, I'm never going to be happy again. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Will we ever forget the people that we lost? No. Are we going to be sad forever about losing the person that we lost? Absolutely. It is always okay to have bad days. It is always okay to feel overwhelmed by your grief. But you do have the power to choose how you respond to it and how you respond to both the daily thoughts and the long-term thoughts. You can choose to find memories of joy, no matter how small they are. You can choose to live a life that honors and respects the memory of the person that you lost. And you can choose to do those things without being defined by a life of constant misery. We are stronger than we think. And I always say we are not alone. This is a huge grief community. So if you have any suggestions for people who are dealing with the struggle of, I'm always going to be miserable, I am never going to be happy again, how do you deal with those feelings? Or do you have any advice for anyone who's feeling that way? What are your suggestions? Is there anything that I missed? Let us know in the comments. We can always help each other out. I'd love to hear what you have to say as well. As always, one step at a time, one day at a time, one moment at a time. Try to make the right choices for your own health and happiness. As always, I am sending love and hugs. I'll see you guys next week.